For all you groundhoppers out there, this podcast is for you.
Hey guys, this is the Fan of Fan podcast. I'm Ben.
And I'm Topless, and for all you groundhoppers out there, this podcast is for you. And tonight we're joined by YouTube groundhopper of the YouTube channel Match Days. It's Joe. How are you doing, mate?
Very, very good, lads. How are you guys doing?
We're good, thank you, mate. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Great to see you at Dobworth the other week.
Yeah, it was a nice day out, and it was a cracking game. So yeah, it was great to meet you in the flesh, and yeah, I'm very excited to be on this podcast. So thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, mate. So first question is, what's your background in football? How did you get into football?
Really, through my dad, really. So my dad was throughout the 80s, he was a big Liverpool fan. He still is to this day. So I started sort of playing football really when I was about 3 or 4 years old. So just playing in the garden, playing with my dad, and it was only until I sort of started about 6, 7 years old I started playing Sunday League. So really, my love of football just went from there. And you always be as a kid, you want to be, I want to be a professional footballer when I'm older, and that was sort of what I wanted to be. But I quickly realised that very few make it. So yeah, that's where it comes from. And I've loved it ever since. You've had your times where you fall out of love with the game, and sometimes you go through periods where you like it, you don't. And then I think really now, as being 22, be almost 23, I think I found a new dimension to the love of the game. So yeah, it's certainly brought the best out of me, no doubt about that.
So I completely agree. At times, like watching Sheffield United is as much as I will always go home and away watching them. Sometimes I feel like it can be especially in the League One days, it could be a chore instead of the excitement. But then obviously, like under Chris Wilder, it rekindled that spark again. You wanted to go, and you was always looking forward to it. But you said you found a dimension. Is this ground hopping by any chance?
Yeah. So when I started going to uni when I was about 18, I started making friends with a lad called Callum Patson, who's been on the channel before. We used to go. I mean, he's a big Gateshead fan, and we've been to non-league football and that. And sort of when I started to go into non-league, because I went to university around the West Midlands, so there's a ton of non-league teams around there, like AFC Withunion, Stafford Rangers, Sporting Calcer, and that. And as soon as we started going, it was all right. This was a whole new level to football. When I was a kid, it was always I'd go to watch Doncaster Rovers, so I didn't really know anything too much from them. And then when I started seeing volunteers and just that whole kind of the roots of English football and seeing that, it was fantastic. So I started to sort of branch out a little bit more towards clubs around the Midlands and in South Yorkshire and further afields, and you realise there are some little hidden gems in football clubs, and the ground hopping has been fantastic. Certainly it's going to different areas of England and Wales as well. It's fantastic. I love it to bits, and I'll be doing that for the rest of my life. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I can do the 92, no doubt about that.
Football plus travelling equals best hobby in the world.
Absolutely.
Here. Drink to that one.
Yeah, I'll drink that.
So
you say you got into ground hopping. What made you start the YouTube channel then?
So I'd probably say when it was about 17-18 season, I started going a little bit more to games and realising that I could do this. And there was a lot of YouTubers like your Smith and your Ellis Platten, they were putting out videos, and I thought I dabbled with the idea for about a year, thinking I could do this. Would people watch me? You get all those kind of questions in your head, and I thought, right, I'm just going to take the plunge. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, then I've tried. So the first video I did, which was I went to watch Gateshead against Salford, which was a great game. It was Salford's sort of first season in the National League in the 5th tier. So, and it got a tremendous response, and the buzz I got from it was amazing. And you always when you like you do streaming platforms and you do your videos, you always you're gonna get praise, you're gonna get criticism, and I just thought, look, let's do it. And if I get a following from this, then I'm gonna do this. So I'm pleased that I did it, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be in the position where I am, where I've the YouTube channel got me my master's degree, and it's from there it's just been a snowball effect of what I want to do in the future. So I'm very, very pleased with that.
You get a buzz when you press the refresh button and then the numbers go up for the viewers.
Oh, tell me about it.
I do too. I love it.
Oh, it's fantastic. And you see all the comments saying great video, and you see all the likes. It's fantastic. It's a nice buzz, no doubt about that.
I know the feeling all too well. Go on, Ben. Sorry, mate.
So I was just going to touch on Doncaster Rovers. So we've been a Sheffield United fan. There's been a few players what have played for both teams. Probably the main one, Billy Sharp. But then you've got the others. One what we signed, I can't remember him playing for us. Andy Butler, which is now was he your interim manager at some point as well? Yeah,
he was the manager to the end of the season. Originally he was a Doncaster Bell's manager, and then he managed us against FC Manchester in the FA Cup, and then he took the job on to the end of the season when Darren Moore left to go to Wednesday. So again, it's like I don't really remember him too much. Sheffield United. I think when we signed him, I think he was at Scunthorpe then. Actually, I might be wrong. Again, don't quote me on that. But
you actually signed him from us. So we had him in 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
But then we signed him from Walsall, but then we loaned him out to Walsall, and then I believe we loaned him out to you, and then you bought him. But so that was one of them, and the other one is Ben Whiteman, which is another one. So you've had some decent plays from us, if I'm being quite honest.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Wyman was another one. I think we were always taking a chance on him. When Dan Ferguson signed him, it was again, I didn't really know too much about Ben Wyman, and he turned out to be a fantastic player for us, a very valuable asset when we finished in the playoffs in the 18-19 season. Just a shame we didn't go up, and Charlton were, let's be fair, they were a top side then in League One. So I personally, we've had some good players. Billy Sharp, you mentioned there, what a player, fantastic servant for both clubs. Being selfish, I'd love to have him back for one more season. I know he's probably going to finish his career at Sheffield United, and rightly so. He's a, Sheffield fan, Sheffield United fan, and I'd love to have him back. No doubt about that. He'd certainly be a valuable asset for us in League One.
And
he was last time.
Yeah, I agree. I've always said I do think he would finish his career at Sheffield United, especially I think he's got like another 2 years on his contract. But I've also got a feeling that, especially under Wilder, he was slowly going down the pecking order for the strikers. Now we're in the Championship, he may get his chance, but I always thought that he may return to Doncaster Rovers and finish there. So I still think there might be a chance. I might be wrong, and he might just stay at United till his contract runs up and retire. But if he wants to play football, it could be a great opportunity, especially if he doesn't get the chance under Jokanovic next season.
That's what I was going to say there, mate. What if he signs Mitrovic or somebody who he signed before? You've still got McGoldrick and Brewster and other strikers in front of him, haven't you?
Yeah, you got Mousset.
Yeah. I've been very surprised if Mousset is still a Sheffield United player by next season, though.
You got McBurney as well, that we didn't mention.
Yeah.
So it's not. But again, at the Championship level, he's normally been second to none. Let's face it. So at League One, if he was to go back, he's still boss even in his 30s. But it all depends on if he signs anybody.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Billy Sharp. especially in the lower leagues, is guaranteed you double figures in goals.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I mean, I was, I said it when you went up and you finished second behind Norwich. That team that Wilder had was fantastic. I mean, you had Dean Henderson, who at the time was brilliant for you. I mean, won a Golden Glove as well, and Sharp. I think he got early 20s. So was it 22, 23 he got in that season?
I believe it was around that.
Yeah. So, I think he finished second behind Pookie, who again, had a wonderful season with Norwich. So, you got to think, Sheffield United. It depends on how Jukanovic wants to play. What, like you say, Jake, the players that he wants to bring in, and the style of football that he wants to come in. I personally think Sheffield United will be up there next season, but I don't think they'll go up. If it was me, I think for me, Fulham will certainly be up there, and your West Brom will be up there. But again, it depends from West Brom's point of view. Who do they bring in? Wagner's said no, Wilder said no. So who's really out there for them, unless they want to go back to the Stone Age where they've got Mark Hughes in charge.
Yeah,
Gary Megson.
Oh God.
I think it could be the Barnsley manager. Ishmael, his name.
Yeah,
he's been approached, so maybe him. But,
yeah,
I'll have to wait and see.
Well, he's got that Barnsley team playing from battling relegation, to playoff spot, and they deserved it at the end.
Would you say Barnsley overachieved last season?
Potentially,
just a bit, yeah, just a bit.
I think the word's going to be unexpected. I don't think anyone thought they would be in the playoffs. So my last question in terms of Doncaster then is, what was your thoughts in terms of the manager what went to Wednesday?
Darren Moore.
Yeah, that's one. Darren Moore. Obviously, you was in a position playoffs in contention for promotion, and then Darren Moore decided to make the switch, and it sort of went a bit downhill at the end. What were your thoughts to that?
Well, I've spoken about it a lot, and I've spoken about it to my friends, my family, and I've said it on the channel before. So I've kind of got over it, but I think the way that, I mean, at the start of the calendar year 2021, we were absolutely flying. We just beat Blackburn in the FA Cup. We were sat third in the league. Second. Top two was on, and I remember watching the Fleetwood game and coming away from that defeat thinking something's not right. The mentality of the players, just how they look body language wise, just didn't add up for some reason. And then we played Hull, where Coppin just scored the free kick, where it was an amazing moment for Cops. But I remember that Monday morning, I remember turning on social media and seeing that, I think it was Liam Hoden who does the free press. He announced that Darren Moore was going to Wednesday, and I remember being so angry purely because, yes, there was a lot of rumours that were flying at the time, but to leave us in the position where we were fifth. Yes, our form wasn't that great up to that point, but I always felt that if we'd have finished in the playoffs, say fifth or sixth, and he didn't take us up, there'd have been someone in the Championship, a better club than Wednesday, with better players, more money. He could go and do a job for them, like a Preston or a Forest or something like that. But it just never. I never thought in my wildest dreams he would drop to a relegation team where they're effectively going to be bankrupt, and they've got a couple of decent players, but not enough to keep them up. And the football they were playing was awful. I remember seeing some of the highlights of them. They were awful Wednesday. So, am I glad to play Wednesday and see Darren Moore again next season? Yes, because we haven't played Wednesday in 7 years. What am I? I've got over it. I mean, again, it just felt like he was just using us as a stepping stone to get back into football. So, but like I say, I'm delighted to see Richie Wellens come back, and I'm very, the way that the interviews that he's been talking about. He's saying all the right things. So I'll be interested to see his style of football and what he wants to implement. He was part of the the team that took, that went to the championship under Sean O'Driscoll. So it'd be very, very interesting to see how his style of play is and, the start that he makes into next season.
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well, mate. I mean, a couple of years ago, 2017, 2018, Mansfield are doing really, really well. They're currently third in League Two. All of a sudden, Peterborough United sacked the manager. Stevie Evans has handed in his resignation and gone. And after being favourites for automatic promotion, we've on the last day missed out on the playoffs to Lincoln City. It's not a nice feeling, is it? But again, it'll only be for the best. I'm sure Richie Wellens will get you playing there next season because, again, you were an ex-championship club for a long, long time, weren't you? I don't know whether it was money troubles that got you down to League Two?
Purely because we weren't good enough. I remember that 15-16 season well. At the time, I was sort of falling out of love of football. And I remember we still had Paul Dickoff in charge. And I remember we made a really, really poor start. We sacked him in, I think it was December time. Brought in Darren Ferguson, who, has done a really good job with Peterborough at the time. And I remember we started well. We lost to Stoke in the FA Cup. We were unlucky. I went to the game. We were unlucky not to take them to a replay. And then after that, we didn't win for 2 months. And that kind of really cost us. We simply weren't good enough to be in League One. So, but that League Two season where really we should have won the league. Really, we were. I can't believe we finished third. It was like, I remember we played you, Mansfield, and we beat you 1-0, and we secured promotion back to League One. And it was like, that's it, we're done. Let's not go for the title. We've already got promotion. Let's just sit back. And I remember we lost our last 4 games because we were supposed to. I think the final day we played Hartlepool, and Hartlepool were fighting to stay in the Football League. Well, first of all, congratulations to Hartlepool. They're back in the Football League now. But they were fighting for their league status, and we were still fighting for the title, and we lost. And I remember coming away from that game thinking, how the hell have we let that slip? We're a good side, and yet we've let Portsmouth win the league. I mean, again, Portsmouth were a good side at the time, and they still are. But it shows you can be still a big name, but you can't get out of the league. No doubt about that. Look at Sunderland.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But, yeah. Just before we move on to the YouTube channel, I just want to ask you one last question about Rovers. And I've got a feeling what you might say to this one. I could be wrong, but I don't know. What's your favourite Donny Rovers moment?
Oh, God. The best one, I'd have to say, and there's been a few down the years, would definitely be the Brentford moment.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It was just, I remember being there and seeing the moment where I remember seeing Trotter at the bar, and I'm going mental in the stand, and there's a flare being sent off, and because I just thought that's it, we're promoted, and I didn't actually realise we scored until Coppinger was jumping on the fans. And then when I actually realised we've won the league, that was it. That was dramatic circumstances, but it was an amazing moment. Certainly that, and when we beat Leeds in 2008, that was another great moment. Certainly those were the top 2, but the Brentford one would certainly just edge it for me. No doubt about that. And
you didn't even know that you were up the other end and scored. That's amazing.
I actually didn't. I was going nuts thinking, we secured promotion to the championship, and I didn't realise we scored until we seen Coppinger jump on the fans, and it was an amazing moment. I just that team that because at the time it was Dean Saunders. Dean Saunders was our manager, and then he left to go to Wolves, and then he got Wolves relegated, and Brian Flynn took over from he was ex-Wrexham manager. Who's now I think he's a director now at Wrexham, and he came in towards back end of the season and got us playing some fantastic football. And I'd love to have had him back. I would have loved to have had him in the championship, but he decided Wrexham came calling for him, so I couldn't understand why he went back. But certainly that League One team where we had the likes of David Cottrell, Billy Painter, Ian Hume, I'm trying to think who else we had. We had John Lundstrom on loan. That was when he was playing for Everton at the time.
That face, Ben.
That face was, man, that was absolutely first class. Yeah, I'm trying to think. We had Jamie McComb, Rob Jones, James Husband. We had some terrific players that team. So certainly, I think at the time we were battling with Bournemouth, who are now gone on to went to be a Premier League club. So I always think that those kind of teams, it kind of shows, I'd hope one day that we become a Premier League side. That'd be the absolute dream for me. No doubt about that.
Can it happen?
Tough one. Again, it can. I mean, it showed again last season with Barnsley that you can do it. But again, we need money to spend and certainly a lot of luck. And then you see the teams are coming down from the Premier League. It's, again, there were the parachute payments and stuff like that. So, it's going to get to a point where you're just going to have 8-9 teams just going to be circling around for, coming back from relegation into promotion. It's, and you've seen well recently with Fulham and Norwich as well. So, but yeah, it's still possible. I like to hope it's possible. You can only dare to dream, no doubt about that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Definitely. So let's talk about YouTube channel then. If you wanted to give the viewers a little what it's about.
Yeah, so really I do ground hopping. I do football videos from I've done vlogs from the Premier League all the way down to non-league, and recently with COVID I've done stuff at Step 7, so grassroots football. So I did some Staffordshire County League, and I did the Sheffield Hallamshire League Cup, which was there's some fantastic games there, and I see Jake smiling there, and certainly Doddiff and Handsworth, they were fantastic games. So yeah, I've been I do some football vlogs. I do week vlogs, which again, YouTuber Smith inspired me to do that and sort of give a sort of daily life of what I do and something to look back on for me and show for me how, where I am sort of just as a person. And I'm recently sort of branching out, doing some series. For example, I'm doing a Lost Football Ground series. So I've done the likes of Fellows Park, which is at former home of Walsall Football Club, and Gay Meadow, which was the former home of Shrewsbury Town. A lot of sort of fans remember that, and I've sort of been looking into that. So generally, it's been for me, it's things like that. I want to try and do things that other YouTubers haven't really tapped into, but I think it's more and more difficult now to actually start football, a football channel, because I think everyone just jumps on the bandwagon. They think that, you see the amount of people that do it, but I just want to make mine as unique as possible. And, if you like it, that's great. I'd welcome aboard. And yeah, it's fantastic to see. And the non-league football scene is fantastic, and certainly there's loads of clubs that I want to get on the channel and show some publicity to. So yeah, because I always think that Football League, Premier League gets too much, non-league doesn't get as much. So I want to be that person that helps non-league clubs at step 6, step 7, all the way up to step 3 and 2 and 1. Gain that publicity that other clubs get from the TV companies.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree with you that if you look at the non-league sort of system, in the National League, you do get the Vanarama National League, which obviously you have the highlights, which can be posted on YouTube and stuff. But it's like, obviously you got your teams like Notts County, obviously Chesterfield, Barnet, and York. The teams like that, what are well known, what have been in the Premier League, in a football league. You know them, you recognise them, you recognise the name. But then, like you said, when you go lower down, when you go to step 6, step 7, there's not many teams. Like you could just mention a football team, like, oh, who are there? Where do they play? No one knows, right? Because they don't get the recognition. And that's one thing I like about #United, is that a lot of people give them hate because they come from the YouTube background, but they've done it the right way. They don't pay the big money to buy the best players. They're still having to earn the right way. They've now progressed into like the academy. They've got a development team. They've got a youth set up, and it's all documented. And they're now moving to step 4 from step 5. So it's good to see people doing that for the teams, and it'd be nice if more teams did come out and do it.
Totally agree.
What if one day BT Sport or Sky Sports had the non-league highlights show featuring step 3 all the way down to step 7, and they got a group of hosts together and commentators? What do you think of that? Do you think that'd be a success?
I think so. I think more and more people now are going into that. I mean, you see, the one thing that bugs me a lot is that you get a club like Sheffield FC, which is the oldest football club in the world. Yeah. Why are they not getting publicity? Or if they had if football clubs went on their history, Sheffield FC would be in the Premier League. And and I always think, why are they not getting that? I think a lot of fans would tune into that. I mean, you see, and you two like me, is that there's so much sort of disconnect away from clubs in the Premier League and the Championship, and even some of the clubs at League One. I think in League Two, you get some that just don't interact with the fans as much as what they should do. But then you go down to step 3 to 6 is, the fans will welcome you with open arms, and you can chat to the directors, you can chat to, the volunteers, and they love football just as much as we do. Effectively, at the end of the day, they're fans. So I think a lot of people would tune into that. And if they asked me to commentate it, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. I think it's fantastic. That'd be certainly a job I would not turn down.
We should get a panel and do a non-league step 3 downwards Gillette Soccer Saturday.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Plenty of us out there to go to these grounds.
Oh yes, 100%.
There's been a goal at Hallam FC. Ben Diskin.
Oh, was they?
sorry, Jeff. I weren't watching. I was doing the air.
But it's like that. Like we put in the ground hopping group chat we have the other day, that there's a pre-season friendly between Sheffield FC and Hallam FC, which is one of the oldest footballing derbies there is. But
it is the oldest.
You don't hear anything about it. Whereas if you see a Manchester United and Liverpool game, that game gets hyped up for weeks, and it's even to the point that they say this is a 2:00 game on Sunday, and there's a 12:30 game or whatever, for example. As soon as that 12:30 game finishes, it'll get about 2 minutes analysis, then they speak about Manchester United, Liverpool, all the way up to the game and after the game. But you've got 2 teams in the non-league which have got a great setup, the oldest football team in the world, and you don't hear anything about it.
No, that's what bugs me. That's what bugs me so much. You just mentioned there Sheffield FC versus Hallam FC. I remember, I think it was one year BBC Radio Sheffield did a special on Sheffield FC. I think it was 150th, or it was a big anniversary, and there was only a few photographers, camera people, reporters that were there. And I remember turning around to my dad. We were in the car, driving somewhere. And I remember my dad turning around to me and saying, if that was Man United or Liverpool and it was their anniversary, the reporters would be over there in 5 seconds flat. For me, it's really disrespectful to those clubs. They are the roots of English football. They're the ones that made Liverpool, Manchester United what they are today. If it wasn't for them, Liverpool wouldn't be as big as what they are now.
Yeah,
well, as you say, I think Copper 90 did a mini documentary on him. They summed it up perfectly. All this rivalry in football all over the world started a couple of miles down the road from us in Dronfield. But where it is now in Dronfield.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, technically, when it first started, it was actually Olive Grove, was even closer. But still.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, the ground ups. Sorry, Ben, what were you going to say?
No, go on. You continue.
All right. So the videos that you've done, how many ground ups have you done on your YouTube channel?
Oh God, I'd have to look
Roughly.
back. I've done a lot. I've gone. I think some of the best games I've done. I think one of the most viewed one was the Stockport against Fylde, the FA Trophy semi-final game. And I remember there were a couple of Stockport fans Fylde scored the winner. Danny Rowe scored the winner, and two Stockport fans jumped onto the pitch and tried to start a fight with Danny Rowe. And I remember the media caught on. They saw it. They wanted the footage. That was incredible. It was weird just to see. You know, at the time I didn't really have many subscribers, so to have all that hype and have all the I think there was like Manchester Evening News were after it. They were after the footage. They wanted to do a piece on the website. So it was my Twitter just blew up that day, that weekend when I uploaded it. So Stockport for me is one of the best grounds I've done. Edgeley Park is one of those old school grounds where you don't really see much these days. It's fantastic, you know, and you can recognise it as well because when you go on the train towards Manchester, you see it. You know, you go past Stockport and you see the ground. You can see the floodlights. So it's a great ground. I'm trying to think of like unique grounds that I've been to that I would certainly say, you know, definitely recommend. I think some of the grounds around my ends, like your Armfoot Welfares and your Rosington Mains, you know, they're great grounds, and people don't understand it. You know, again, it's one of those things where when those two play each other, it's the Doncaster derby. You know, it's I did it before, and it was there's no love lost for those two clubs. Again, it's one of those where you think, you know, there should be more hype to it, and it certainly delivered, no doubt about that. But yeah, I can't for life for me how many videos I've actually done. I think it's over 100, no doubt about that.
Do you have a favourite?
Yes, I do actually. The best one I've done. It was the first year on the channel, first season. Altrincham played Chorley. It was second versus fourth in the National League North, and it finished 5-3 to Altrincham. It was an absolutely cracking game. I remember, I think Altrincham went in front, then they went 2-0, then it was 2-1, then 2-2, then Altrincham went 3-2 up, then it was 3-3, and then I remember, I think it was like a minute after Altrincham went in front. Oh, it was a brilliant free kick. It went 4-3, then they won 5-3, and it was one of the best games I'd seen in a very, very long time. And it was a great advert for non-league football, and it showed that if that was a Premier League game, there'd be so many clicks and retweets on that. But because it was a National League game, and there was a lot at stake because both sides were going for promotion at the time. I just made it. Certainly, that's my favourite game, and I've said it before to a lot of people, and yeah, no doubt about it. It was a very, very. I think I remember doing my outro to it, and I couldn't even speak because I lost my voice that badly.
Yeah, when you get games like that, you join in, don't you? You actually want to see a team win. You want to see them recover.
Oh, yeah.
Get lost in the moment, don't you?
I certainly did, 100%. I remember going, and you can hear if you go back and watch the video. I remember they scored the goal. They went 4-3, and I remember I did a high pitch yes because I just for some reason I got caught in the moment. It was one of those where it was the best any goal. It was a goal of at any time in any game, any moment, any minute. It was so crucial because at the time Chorley were getting on top of Altrincham, and Altrincham got the goal, and it kind of killed Chorley's momentum. But the atmosphere that day was superb. I mean, I think there was about at Moss Lane, I think there was about over 1,200 there. It was a fantastic atmosphere, and it was a bank holiday weekend as well, so it made it even better. As long as that day it didn't rain, so yeah, even better.
Here's one for you then. So, when you go into a game, especially if it's not your team, what would excite you the most? Would it be, say, a 10-0 game, so one team's just absolutely dominated through, or would it be a game what finished 5-5 and it was constantly end to end and end up a draw. Because personally, I think I'd prefer the 5-5.
Yeah, I'm the same as well. Again, I've had a few. I mean, again, it's like not being Donny. I think when you go to games and it finishes 5-5, you know, it's you've got your money's worth. You know, if it's a 10-0, then it's it depends on the team. If it's a team that you're in the home end, it's great, but it kind of lacks views because people are not going to tune in to watch a 10-0. They want to tune into a game where it's end-to-end football. There's mad moments, but the thing as well, atmosphere's got to be key as well. You know, if it finishes 10-0 and the atmosphere is dead, then really there's no point. But when you've got people that are entertained and they're seeing great football and played at a fantastic pace, then it just makes it even better viewing for everyone, really. So yeah, certainly I would take a 5-5 over a 10-0, no doubt about that.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's more moments within a game where, like, you know, you could be 2-1 up, next thing you know, you could be 3-2 down, then you could be 5-3 up and go and draw 5-5. Whereas if it's just 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4, it's like, how many are we going to score?
Yeah, that's what it felt like. I remember doing, I think it was the second video I did, second or third video. I think it was Gainsborough playing Chasetown in the FA Cup, second qualifying, and it finished 8-2 to Gainsborough. And I remember standing there thinking, there were some great goals. There was about Gainsborough scored some beauties, but it was like, all right, I've seen 10 goals, but it's, you know, it just felt a little bit sort of flat. But yeah, the early days, it was like, you know, am I going to get the views? I was always a bit self-conscious about that. But I think now, I'm more of a case of, if I enjoy it, I'm going to put it out, no doubt about that. But I'm not going to make videos for video's sake, because that was kind of what I did before, just because I wanted the views and I wanted the clicks. But I've realised now that that's just not the case. So, I think that it's got to be important, the videos, no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. And it's the same. It's like we upload. I've uploaded some, and I feel like, this might do quite well, and sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. So again, it's how you sort of publicize it, you know, and what content is as well. What you sort of deem as enjoyable content's not always going to be the same for everybody, and that's it. That's the audience. What you've got to try and branch together.
Completely agree. I mean, I think you're always going to have a core audience, no doubt about that. That's the thing I've learned. You know, people are going to watch your videos regardless, and it's always great to have to gain new views. It's always fantastic to have. But I've learned as well, and I think I've learned from many YouTubers, is that if they go start chasing the views, and you try and chop and change your style, then it doesn't, you start to alienate audiences. I remember Ellis Platten doing that. I remember he started doing I think it was one of the seasons where he started doing a sort of an idea where he'd follow a team until home and away, until if it was a draw, they would switch leagues. And I remember, I think it was the first 3 or 4 videos, they were draws, so he kept switching leagues. And it got to a point where I think he just abandoned it halfway through the season because it just wasn't feasible. Now, I always felt that was never going to be the case. I don't think I would ever do that. I mean, A, it costs too much. B, I don't want to really be copying that idea. So I just wanted to stick to what I know, and I know what people are going to watch. But it's always great to freshen it up a little bit and sort of maybe add a couple of bits, or introduce new things. So yeah, I think the one thing that you guys will learn and you guys will know, and I know, is that things evolve. You stream, what might be great now, in a year's time it might evolve into something a little bit different. You might add new segments to it, and it'll be the same for me. So yeah, I think as long as you keep it fresh and keep it exciting for viewers, they'll always keep coming back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you normally tend to focus on the football, don't you, with yours as well? So like that opens up a lot of doors for you. I'll give you an example. During these restrictions, after the restrictions were lifted, I made my way to a lot of Hope Valley games. I mean, would that be something you'd be interested in doing? I mean, look at that for a view, eh? I mean, work for me.
Oh,
I mean, would you interested in covering grounds like that? Just like, in some cases they are just fields, but you go, oh, wow, that's nice.
Yeah. I know. It was one of the things I remember doing. I think the first game I did back was a Foley Mere game, and that was at the time they were top at Staffordshire County League. I remember going there, and it was effectively a stadium, so effectively I shouldn't have been allowed to go. But they said, well, they'll let you in. But I went to AFC Alsager, and effectively it's a field. Well, it's a public area, but they were playing football on there. So you sat there, you're standing there. There's me, there's Callum Patterson, and there's Henry Lofts, who are my co-hosts. And I remember standing there next to them, and it's effectively a rail around there. And next to it was a hockey pitch, and it's and there on there. There was 2 games of hockey going on, and we're there filming a game of football. So it's some pretty unique grounds. But I tell you what, I wouldn't have changed it for the world. No doubt about that. I certainly had a lot of fun when, like I say, when restrictions were lifted. I think it was April time. That period from April to now, I've had a lot of fun going to these little unique grounds that I don't think I would have got round to doing, but I would have done eventually. But it's I've had an absolute blast recently.
Yeah, me too, mate. I've loved it. I mean, some teams I've never heard of, but especially in the Hope Valley League. But we go into, because I was originally planning to do the '92 club when I first started. So I got all them and then gone into non-league. But some of these teams, Bucksworth, who were they? Bessica. I know the place, but I had a team in Central Midlands. Also, we got Baslow. Who? Yeah, you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, there's some great. I mean that Central Midlands League. There's some good teams. Like there's one not far from me, Fulham Colliery. Yeah, they were great. Yeah. They were a good side. They were very great stadium. I highly recommend it. You got your Dinningtons.
Blackwell, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think Retford are in that league as well.
Yes, Claycross.
Yeah, exactly. Claycross, exactly.
Big clubs.
There's clubs that I definitely want to tick off, like probably doing pre-season games. So I think I've always gone past Retford's ground when I've played Sunday League there, but I never thought, years later I'm thinking, I can't wait to do Retford's ground in July. It's just it's absolutely unheard of, but
it's great.
It's just things it's little things like that. It's just it's amazing. Amazing to actually go there and you can go, you know what? I've got a picture as a memory because I've been to this ground and it's fantastic. That's why I keep all my photos from this season, because there's been so many great grounds that I've done that have just got their own unique style. And I remember I've said to a few people, look, I definitely want to come back to them because they're amazing and you guys are fantastic volunteers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, in terms of the Retford ground, I went must be about 2-3 seasons ago now for the Retford Derby. So it was
a big one.
Yeah, it was a sellout. So there was quite a lot there, and there was a few on the bridge. So as you go over the bridge, you can see Retford's ground.
Yeah,
and so you've got people on the bridge, you've got everyone in the stadium, and it ends up 5-0 to Retford. Well, the best thing about it is when the train comes. So they've got a train line bang next to it, and there's always that one train driver what presses horn and gets the whole crowd going. And
hey!
Well, that's exactly what happened.
Oh, mate, it's fantastic.
And I think that's what makes it sort of unique as well, because not every single football stadium has a train line next to it.
Exactly. Those like little, I don't know, there's little perks, little gems of stadiums that just make it what it is. Like I say, the Retford's ground there. It's something I want to tick off. And you mentioned Ned Dinnington where you said, "Oh, it's a great ground." Again, I've not done it, but it's another one I definitely want to tick off. Certainly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hidden gems out there, and I would personally like to do Retford United before Retford FC, just because of the history between the two clubs. Retford United has been the main one, but I can imagine Retford FC being a really hidden gem, and that famous quote was from you there, Ben. Not every ground has a train going next to it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've been to both. I think Retford United is a lot more cleaner. It's a lot more to it, and as a stadium wise, anyway, and they've got lots of room for improvements where they can expand if they ever go back to the heights they did before. And with how they're going with, I believe it's Manfield owners, also the owner of Retford United. So they've got some, so they've got some fucking money behind them now. They got that financial side sorted. But as much as I did enjoy going to Retford's ground, and it looks more of a ground, I enjoyed it more going to Retford FC's ground, because, like you said, there's a lot more uniqueness to it. I mean, you could stand and watch it from the bridge. You can go. You have to walk under the bridge to get to the ground. You've got the train next to it, and again, that can be developed more. They had to make a new stand because they got promoted that season. So now it's got a random, I think it's like a 50-seater stand behind one of the goals. Whether it gets used, I don't know, because I've not been back since. But that's their way of expanding, and that just makes it just as unique. But I definitely go to it again.
Fair play. Are you planning on taking match days abroad one day to a ground?
Yeah, well, I've said a couple of times where if I get to 1,000 subscribers, I will do a European game. I want to target Italy. I think that's probably Italy or Germany. That's certainly going to be the two. I think one of the grounds I want to do is the Olympic Stadium, Hertha Berlin. I remember going there. First time I went was, I think it was October 2015. We went there for a week in my family, and I remember we got a stadium tour around the Olympic Stadium, and it was amazing when you actually you see it on TV. I remember it was just after I think a few months ago a few months before that was the Champions League final where Barca were playing Juventus, and you see it on TV, it looks amazing, and then when you actually see it in person, it's an absolute spectacle. But again, Hertha have not had a great season, but certainly it's one that I would definitely do. And the other one, I think the one that recently just got to Serie A, Venice.
Venezia, yeah.
Venezia. I mean, I watched the Copenhagen documentary that they did, and it was absolutely fantastic. And the fans were awesome. So I mean, when I went to Venice, I was trying to find it, and I couldn't see where the ground was. I think it's a bit more mainland, where the city is. So, but yeah, certainly Venezia is one, and Hellas Verona is another one that I want to do. When you fly into Verona, you actually see the ground from the plane. So, and it looks a very typical Italian football stadium, but I no doubt it's certainly got character. So those kind of grounds is things they're on my bucket list, no doubt about
that. No, fair play, mate. Look forward to that day.
So will I.
Right, just to finish off with, then we're going to do a best 11 for you. So what I'm going to do now is give you a few minutes to have a think. I'm going to share the screen.
Okay. I think of one player who's going to pick, maybe two, but we'll have to see. You never know yet.
Oh yes.
I feel like, again, I'd be surprised if there's not one or two in this team. But we'll let you do it first.
Okay. So my goalkeeper, purely because he was an instrumental keeper for when we.
There we go, horizontal stripes for you.
There you go.
So
you having 4-4-2, by the way, mate, as well. You sticking with that formation?
Yeah, we'll go 4-4-2. It's a bit like one of those 1-11s where they did with Paul Merson and that when they did the. We got the goalkeeper because he was so instrumental when we went up to the championship, and the way he commanded his box was fantastic. So my number one would have to be Neil Sullivan.
Great keeper.
Yeah. Fantastic serving for our club. He was brilliant. And when he retired, I was really disappointed that we ended up bringing in Gary Woods, which was a mistake, but that's a question for another time. Right back, that's a tough one. I mean, we've had a few good right backs over the years, but I think if I was to go for one, it would have to be Jimmy O'Connor. Brilliant, really good defensive mind. He was good going forward. He was very, very solid. I know that, and as well, I mean, under the lights as well, when we were playing, you could see that the shininess from his head was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, right back would be Jimmy O'Connor.
O'Connor. Oh. What about your right centre back then?
So right centre back. I was just thinking then before we started the podcast. Then it'd have to be a player that, again, another one that was part of the team that went up from League One under Sean O'Driscoll. I know he did the dirty on us, but a very, very good player. Very, very solid. Very, very good. Commanding the back four. Centre half would be Matt Mills.
Matt Mills, he's been around, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He played for Reading, Forest.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he went to Reading after us. Because when they sold him to Forest, we got £1 million out of the deal. We had a sell-on clause out of him.
Fair play. Good defender though.
Yeah, very good player.
I saw. Yeah. Scored twice against. What was it? Just once again in the playoff final against Swansea where they lost.
Yes.
I think, yeah,
he did. Yeah, God. I remembered. God, that was I forgot about that. Actually,
got a good memory, I've mate, honestly.
Other centre half. Again, it's another tough one because there's been a couple of good centre halves for us. Trying to think. Yeah, I'd certainly say purely because I think again he was another player that was good for us. Again, another good leader. And he popped up with a few goals every now and again. I remember he actually scored our first goal when we were back in the Championship in 2013-14 season. So my other centre back would be Rob Jones.
Rob Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And who's going to finish off your defence? Who's going to be a left back?
Again, tough. Again, we haven't had too many left backs that have been. Again, I'd be spitting out names, but I'd probably say the guy that's just recently left us. He's gone to Blackpool. Again, I'd say Gareth Roberts would be unlucky not to. And the same James Hudson would be another one that'd be unlucky not to make my team. So my left back would be Reece James.
Reece James. Not the Reece James what's currently playing in the Euros for England.
I wish.
Right, midfielders. We'll start with right mid. Who we're going to go?
Right mid. It's hard for me. It's hard to keep this player out. A man that's made over 800 appearances, career appearances. A man that has actually made me shed a tear when he retired just recently. Man that was, he was. There's no words to describe how great he was.
I'll type it in for you already.
There we go. James Coppinger.
No, that was good.
Right mid. Absolutely fantastic player. So much, yeah.
That was it. That was one who I thought you put in, by the way.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah.
I was just very gutted that he couldn't say goodbye to us with a full crowd. I mean, again, it'd be my dream would to have us win promotion to the championship, and he can ride off into the sunset with his promotion medal, but just wasn't meant to be. First centre mid. I think for me, a great player, very good midfielder. He's signed from Bournemouth actually when O'Driscoll was there. Very fantastic midfielder. Scored a few goals for us. First midfielder would be Brian Stock.
Brian Stock, who's gonna be his midfield partner?
Again, I would say. Ben Whiteman would claim to be unlucky, but again, I couldn't leave this player out because he's our manager, and he was brilliant for us again in the season where we got up to the championship. So my midfielder would be Richie Welland.
And left mid, finish it off.
Yeah. A man that really was part of our team that won promotion, that won League One in 2012-13. A bit of a surprise one, but in fact, no. I was going to say his name, but I've just called it with someone even better. In fact, a guy that we signed actually when we just came out of the conference, and I remember seeing him when I was about 6-7 years old and being just mesmerised by him. Well, not mesmerised, but he was a great player. Certainly, he was part of our team that came out of the conference, won League Two at the first attempt. A bit of a surprise one, but my left midfielder would be Michael Mackindo.
You're going to have to have a help with Mackindo. I have to let me know how you spell that one.
It's little c and then INDOE.
Mackindo. Yep. And finally, finish it off. Two strikers.
I mean, the first one is a very, very easy choice. A man that you and I, Ben, know quite well. A great player. Yeah, easy. Be Billy Sharp. Absolutely easy. That
Lovely chap as well.
Yeah,
Met him a few times and coached with him. He's a lovely chap. All the best to him.
All the best. Yeah, like I said, hope he comes back one day. Said nothing but great things about the James Coppinger. So yeah, got a lot of respect for him, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And the man to be his partner?
Again, a surprise one, but a man that is currently at Portsmouth, actually. I remember him, when we signed him, was a bit of a surprise one because he hadn't really scored that many for in the Football League. He scored a few at Northampton and didn't really make too much of an impact there. And when he came to us, it was a bit of a gamble. But he went on to get top scorer in League Two and 2 seasons of top scorer in League One. So my other striker would be John Marquis.
That's one who I thought you were going to go for. And rightly so. Great striker.
Yeah, 100%.
You've definitely got 2 strikers who can score goals. Right, so another thing we do is we give you a manager who's going to manage his team, the next Doncaster Rovers manager, and you get 3 subs. Who's they going to be?
So I'll go with the manager first, and I've mentioned his name a few times there when we were picking the 11 there. We were once nicknamed the Arsenal of the North when we had him, and some of the football that we played. And if you speak to a lot of Doncaster Rovers fans, they said that's some of the football that we had played at that time was unbelievable. I was a little bit disappointed. I think his time came to an end, but I think he took us as far as we could go. But my manager would certainly be Sean O'Driscoll.
Sean O'Driscoll. And what about your 3 subs?
3 subs, I think, tough ones. Yeah, again, it's hard to nail down 3. 3 subs. I think my first sub would be. Trying to think now. That's a really good question. I'll go with one striker first because I know which one I would pick. Again, he probably should have scored more than what he should have done, but when he did, he scored some very crucial goals at very crucial times for us. So one of my first sub would be James Hayter. I think second sub. I'm just trying to think. Trying to think of. So really difficult. You really have picked a good question with the subs. God, trying to think now. Trying to think any bit.
I'm going to give you one. So there was one person I thought you may add into the midfield. So I'm going to suggest him to you.
Go on then.
That was. I'm going to get his name again. David Cotterill. Do
you know? I was going to say left mid, and I was going to play him left mid, but I just felt Cotterill. That season when we won League One, he was amazing. Set pieces were superb. Yeah, again, he'd be a little unlucky not to make the 11, but yeah, certainly I would certainly agree with you. That would be one of my subs. The final sub that gave me actually time to think actually. Yeah, the final sub would be another midfielder that again, he came through the ranks at Sheffield Wednesday, and he got released by Wednesday. Came to us when we were in non-league under Dave Penny, and he was such a brilliant servant for us. Was a very solid midfielder for us. I was part of the team that that got to the Championship, and then left us to go to Derby under Paul Jules. So the final sub would be Paul Green.
Paul Green.
Very good.
Solid.
Right. So just before we wrap it up, looking at the team. James Coppinger, I really expected him to be in. Sharp and Marquis, I thought those two I expected. But there's one defender who I thought you may have got in, and that I believe is the current Wakefield AFC manager, and that's Adam Lockdown. I thought.
Yeah, you see, Lockwood.
Oh, sorry, Lockwood. Why did I say lockdown?
We've had too many lockdowns, Ben.
Don't talk about this on here, lad.
No. Adam Lockwood, again, he was. Again, you could make an argument for someone like a Graham Lee or a Nick Fenton or someone like that, or an Andy Butler. You could make an argument for them. I went with Rob Jones because I just thought his leadership was fantastic. He was very, very, very good in the air. He could pop up with goals at crucial times. I remember we played Stevenage in the season we went up, and he scored with about 5 minutes to go to win the game. And those kind of goals were crucial. Lockwood was, again, he was a good player, but again, at the time he didn't really get too much opportunities in the team. I don't know if O'Driscoll really thought he was good. I mean, he played him, but I didn't think he was, going to be part of that nucleus of the team. But certainly, if he'd had more subs, I think I would maybe put him in. But again, it's hard to justify. Like if I was to put him in, I'd be going, oh, well, I could put Andy Butler there. But yeah, it's very, very. I mean, we've had some good centre backs over the years, so it's you could make a case for all of them, really.
Yeah, and I'll make sure next time I pronounce his name right. I knew who I was talking about.
You were on the right lines, to be fair,
Yeah.
but I think your mind said lockdown. I think that's what you were thinking.
Right, we're going to wrap it up there. And what we'll do is when we release it, we'll put a link to your YouTube channel below as well. Help everyone out. But it's been fun. It's been great to get to know you a bit more, and it's been great to hear your stories. And
thank you for coming, mate.
Yeah.
Guys, if you're watching this, check out his channel. It's called Match Days. You won't be disappointed. And Joe, hopefully we'll all get together for a ground up someday. Plenty of times next season, hopefully.
Oh yeah, guys, thank you very much for having me on the podcast today. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in pre-season.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, pal.